Oh, hello, Ambush. And today we are joined by an incredible country singer, songwriter who had to take a little bit of a break after building her music career for about 6 years. She got a little bit of a surprise leukemia diagnosis after 4 years, though. After a little bit of some stem cell therapy, she is back at it. She's back on that songwriting path, blazing her own story, a new chapter. Here, the new chapter starts with a new single entitled Don't. The guest here today is Cadence Grace. How's it going today, Cadence?
Hey, Colton, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, it is an absolute pleasure. I'm loving the new single. I can't wait to dive into it. So, how do you say we get into the music here?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, perfect. So, of course, as I mentioned, you had to take a little bit of a break from songwriting, releasing music, getting out there, and everything that comes with it. So, I guess my first question has to be, when exactly did you begin to get back behind a guitar, get back behind a pen and a pad of paper, and actually start to put some emotions back down?
Yeah, I mean, cancer is such a journey. And for me, my recovery was just so challenging that, when you're in like fight or flight, creativity is kind of the first thing that dies. And you just kind of can't access that part of your brain. So for me, it took close to, I want to say like 3 years after my transplant for me to start kind of like just moving through the abject and like immediate like trauma and emotions and recovery to a place where I felt like I was ready to even like talk about those things and to kind of dive back into like writing and getting in touch with how I was feeling and get that out on paper. So it was a lot longer than I expected. I honestly, I didn't even really listen to music a lot for like the first year or two after my transplant because my career it stopped kind of like in its tracks. And it was honestly so painful because it just felt like the band and I were on such a great trajectory. And there was definitely some like grief associated with that. So yeah, I kind of was avoiding music for a long time until, like usual, my parents are always my saviors. And they kind of were, like slowly nudging me, like maybe you should give it a try. Like what can we do to help you? So they helped me buy some recording equipment and we decided to take a songwriting class together. And that's how we ended up writing Don't. And it kind of like just lit this fire back up inside of me that was like, oh, I'm crazy. Like, what am I doing? I got to go back to music. Like, this is where I feel like I'm at home. So kind of like needed that moment to reconnect and just see like, I haven't lost it. It's still there. I still love it. Like, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one thing that I sort of want to stop and acknowledge there is you mentioned support systems. You mentioned sort of the difficult moment and some of the things that come with it, but also that thing that sort of helps you get through it. And that's a solid support system. So shout out to all of the supportive partners, the parents out there in the world who are helping people through difficult times like these, because you're hearing it right now. This matters.
Totally. And, I always say that the country music community is like a family, and it just couldn't be more true. I honestly, what kept me going through all of the challenges was just, every once in a while, somebody would check in or people would send me messages. And I mean, I really openly shared my journey on my blog with people and kind of just exposed my whole experience. And I was afraid of doing those things. But in the end, I think what I discovered was really being open and honest about like who I was, what I was going through, and what that looked like for me kind of created like an even deeper connection between like myself and the people in the country community. And I mean, like if love can keep somebody alive, like 100%, it kept me going.
Hey, it's love is a beautiful thing. It's a magical thing. And so is music.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, and of course, like you mentioned, your parents' love for you, their support for you. They sign up for a songwriting course with you, and of course, they get a little bit of a songwriting credit here on your return single. So, what was it like to sort of write track with your parents, especially one that's sort of about like, exes and otherwise.
It was kind of interesting because the approach that they were teaching in this class to songwriting was definitely different than I have ever approached it. It was almost like kind of like reverse engineering the song, where you start with like a loop or a beat and you work like backwards from that with kind of just like mumbling a melody. And then you start solidifying like lines that you think work with what's there. And so kind of like don't just kept coming back up in like our mumbles. And so we were like, all right, where can we go with this? Because it feels like it like fits with the melody. And I have like this ex who, I mean, we're friends, but it's always kind of like a joke that we've, stayed in touch over the 10 years that we've been apart. And I kind of thought, well, it'd be fun to like write a song about that experience and about how, like maybe you're in a different place than them and you've finally moved on. And yeah, it just kind of like all came out together. And it was really what I found the coolest is it was unintentional at the time. But when I listened back to the song, like the different ways that we were able to use the word don't in the lyrics was like really, really cool to me. It was kind of like an excessive alliteration, but I really love it.
I mean, you say the word excessive, but as somebody who is a fan of wordplay, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Just like the different weaving ways of like, you think I need you? You want to text me? Don't even think about it. Like, it made me very happy as a fan of wordplay for sure.
Thank you.
And of course, there's a pretty fantastic music video that also came out with this track. Actually came out a little bit before the single with the CBC Searchlight contest there. So in terms of the music video, sort of take us behind the scenes of putting this together. Who helped you to craft this side of the single?
Yeah, this was probably the craziest video experience that I've ever had because I mean, we cut this song and then I knew I wanted to enter Searchlight and there was like the deadline was like 5 days. And I was like, okay, well, like I need this song recorded and I need a video in like 5 days. So we had only had the demo done, just like the crappy like iPhone demo. And I called up Tim Deegan and I was like, hey, like I have this idea and I want to shoot a music video. And like, can we do it in 2 days? And can I shoot it in your house? Because he has like just this beautiful home, like an old church that they converted into a home and like this amazing white, like baby grand piano. And I just thought this is like perfect. And he was just so great. He was like, yeah, all right, let's do it. Like, let's make it happen. And he was just so great to work with. And I mean, I'm sure it might come across as like a little bit crass, but I wanted a guy to be in the video that was kind of like, in the concept, like periphery, so that like you can see that I've got someone new or whatever, but like, you don't. And I asked my husband to be in the video and he was like, no, like I'm so busy this week. Like I can't make it work. And he said, but what would be really funny and great is if you asked your ex-boyfriend because I feel like he would be down for that. So, I texted him and I was like, hey, I want to be in a music video. And I mean, he's such a great sport. So he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So I put my ex in the music video and he's kind of like my periphery guy. And it was so much fun and just a really cool way to bring it to life. And the whole time we were just hoping, I mean, I hope that by the time we produce this song that it sounds like something close enough to the demo so that like everything syncs up, but it worked perfect.
I'd say so too. And I actually had read that little tidbit inside the details of the YouTube video there and I was like, really? Okay, cool. I mean, I guess that's one of those moments where you're thankful an ex texted you back.
Yeah, well, it was so funny because, I mean, we dated like way back forever and we had broken up kind of like right before I shot one of my very first music videos. And he was like always so mad that he didn't get to be in that music video. I just like hired a random extra. So I kind of was like, hey, it's like finally your chance to be in one of my music videos. Like, you want to do it? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So no, he was great. He's a really great guy.
Oh, that's fantastic. Very glad to hear that he was game to help out and came out with a fantastic music video to go along with this song. And of course, the song itself has been out for about just over a month now that it's been out on DSPs here. So you mentioned the incredible community that is country music. I'm sure you've had some fans who have been waiting around to get their next listen to some Cadence Grace, waiting for you to heal and get back into the groove. So what has the reception been like to this return to the music?
Honestly, it's been really overwhelming. I mean, what kind of kept me going in those dark moments was visualizing myself like creating again and being back on stage. But I mean, admittedly, when I was visualizing those things, it was as part of Runaway Angel. And I was really hoping that at the end of everything, we would be able to continue as a band. But obviously, my recovery took like years, which none of us were expecting. So it kind of meant we were all in different places by the time I was kind of ready to get creating again. So, as awesome as it's been to come back as a solo artist and just be welcomed with open arms, it's also like a very strange experience because I spent, 7 years making music with my best friends, and to go back to doing it alone is, it's like daunting and kind of scary. I mean, I admittedly have the worst stage fright, and I've had it since I was a kid. And I just kept thinking like, okay, one day this is going to go away, but it never did. But when I was in the band with, Stacy and Ann, whenever I was on stage, it was kind of like, oh, well, I'm just up here with my friends having a good time. It didn't feel as like vulnerable as it does to me when I am performing alone. So it's definitely been a change, but I mean, I'm just so glad that I got welcomed back with open arms, and everybody's, loved the single, and just so excited that like I made it through everything and I'm back. I think it's kind of like a comeback story that everybody can be inspired by, that, you can make it through the hardest stuff and still find joy in your second life.
Hey, the true comeback kid.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. And of course, you mentioned there too the ability to get back up on stage and otherwise. So, what has that been like? Because I'm sure that you probably missed that side of things as well.
Yeah, I definitely miss performing. And like I said, visualizing being back on stage and singing for people again. I mean, when I'm singing, I feel like I'm connected to the universe in a way that I don't feel at any other time. And like, that's my kind of like magic place. And I think that's what makes it so vulnerable for other people, is that like I'm kind of in my own world when I'm singing. And, it's almost like I'm having like this private experience, and to share it with other people makes me feel very vulnerable. But it's been great. Honestly, I kind of can't believe that it took me so long to get back to music now that I'm doing it, because I just realized how much I love it, how much it is just like an intrinsic part of who I am. And I mean, I guess at the time it was just too hard to go there. But, now that I'm back, it just, it feels great.
Hey, when the time was right, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, exactly. And of course, we mentioned the aspects of live music. We talk about the aspects of the community that is country music. And of course, September 2022, I believe in Calgary, the 8th to the 12th. If I'm getting these dates wrong, CMAs, don't punish me. It's going down, the Canadian Country Music Awards, Canadian Country Music Week. You actually happen to be showcasing in Calgary as a part of these events. So what is it like? What's the anticipation like to get back in with that community, fully immerse yourself once again?
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, CCMAs are like the highlight of my year. I don't think people realize how connected the community really is. And I mean, we gig all year or play festivals and stuff. So, I mean, you see each other in passing at shows or whatever. But I mean, CCMAs is where we get together as like a family and like catch up and actually see how everybody's doing and see our friends and have a good time. And I'm just really excited. And I'm taking my mom like always. I mean, she's gone with me to every CCMA since I started going to, more than 10 years ago. So it's just really cool to be going and take her with me. We're like debating maybe road tripping it, because I know airports are kind of wild right now. So, and you can't go to CCMAs without taking a whole suitcase of shoes. So it's
You gotta have 4 days. You gotta have
exactly.
like what, 16 outfits? Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm pretty sure it'll be an epic cross country journey if that's what you guys end up deciding to do. Maybe you can write some more songs while you're on the road too.
Yeah, for sure. It's so cool because I mean, my parents are both very, very into music, and my mom always wanted to be a singer, and my dad is just like, he's got like the craziest vinyl collection. I mean, they turned me into such a music lover, but I just like, once we wrote that song, I felt so bad. I was like, how have we not done this until now? Like, we should have been writing songs together like my whole life, But when you're young, you kind of have that attitude that like you need to write with like published writers or established writers or go to Nashville. And that's what I spent like 10 years doing. But I mean, after my experience, and I mean, obviously my parents went through everything with me and it was very hard for them too. I kind of wanted to create something together. And what that made me realize is, I mean, everybody has a story, but not everybody has the ability or the medium to share that story or express that story. And now I'm kind of like excited to maybe write with unexpected people and see how we can tell their story instead of, like kind of doing that like formulaic, like Nashville thing. Cause I think, yeah, everybody's got a story to tell, and like, why not tell some of those stories?
Absolutely. And it's like you said, your mom had wanted to maybe try her hand in this for a while. So like, give her that opportunity to like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is something that like I could have done. Cool. Or like I am actually doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's because of my parents that I'm still doing music. It's because of them that I did music in the first place. I mean, they have supported me every step of the way, gone to a million like trips to Nashville with me, and just they've always been a part of it, but like kind of on the periphery. And it's just so cool to have them be like actually a part of it.
Okay. Awesome. Fantastic. So a few more questions here. So of course, once again, going back to the aspects of live music, of course, sometimes you might have a little bit of jitters, some nerves before you take the stage. Do you have a pre-stage routine to help you get ready, to help you get through that?
I just try to find someplace quiet, like right before the show, like 5 minutes before I go on, where I can kind of just like collect myself and talk myself through the fear and just kind of like pump myself up. When we were in Runaway Angel, we always kind of like got together as a group and like amped each other up to like go out there. But when I'm alone, I find I need like that moment just to center myself, and then I can like, all right, let's do this.
All right. So a little bit of a change up there then.
Definitely, yeah.
Hey, all right. So of course, now we're going to talk a little bit more about, how you've grown and otherwise. So what is something that you're hopeful for?
I think I'm hopeful for what's to come. I think what cancer really showed me is life can just be so unexpected. And I mean, you can have all kinds of plans, but that doesn't mean they're going to happen. It really showed me, as a control freak, that, I mean, you kind of don't have any control. And that's like a scary thing to recognize, like losing that control freak aspect of it. So, I mean, I think I'm just hopeful for what's to come, and I don't have a lot of expectations. I just know what I want to do, what I'm excited about. And I mean, this is going to sound really strange, but I feel like since my transplant, the universe kind of guides me or talks to me in ways where it's like, I feel like I'm getting like this message, like, this is what you need to do, or this is what you need to do now. And I just kind of go with it. And I don't really necessarily always understand why that's happening or why I need to do it, but I just trust that it's what I need to do. And then I'll find out in the end. And I mean, that's how I feel about my whole cancer experience, is just that, I didn't really know why I went through the things I did, but now as I'm starting to get some hindsight, I can just see how it changed me, and it changed the way I view the world in like profound ways that never would have happened otherwise, that I'm just so grateful for. So really, yeah, I'm just hopeful for the future, hopeful for whatever like adventures are around the corner. I'm down for anything.
Hey, perfect. My next question was actually, what is something you're grateful for? So I think you kind of covered it a little bit there too, but if you want to add something else, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful for the spotlight that cancer put on fear. For me, it just really made me recognize, like when you think you're going to die, you don't regret like any of the things that you did. You only regret the things that you didn't do. And for me, it was like, it just made me see how many fear based decisions I made in my first life and how much they affected, my career trajectory and who I became as a person. And I was really angry with myself because it was just so clear that like I had missed out on some of the best chances in my life and the best opportunities just because I was afraid. And I promised myself like, okay, if you like live through this, you're not going to be afraid anymore. But I mean, obviously that's not how fear works and it's not a switch you can turn off. So, I mean, lo and behold, I find after my transplant that, in some ways I'm more afraid than ever, but now I'm just so aware of it that I try to stop it before I make a decision based in it. And I try to sit down and think like, if fear wasn't a part of this equation, what would I do? What would my answer be? And just go with that answer, no matter how much it scares me.
Huh. Wow. Wow. Very powerful. My goodness. All right. So, what does the future potentially hold? Is there new music? Is there maybe some more concert dates? What does the rest of 2022 hold for Cadence Grace?
Yeah, I'm playing a couple gigs in August and September. I'm playing an all-female festival called Harmonia Fest in Uxbridge, which I'm super excited about. And I'm playing at the Bronson Theatre Centre in Ottawa on September 3rd. But mostly I've just been writing like all summer. I felt like almost as soon as I kind of got past that trauma and the walls started coming down, it was like song idea, like just couldn't even like stop it. I just felt so inspired by so much. So I've really been trying to write and, going back to like those fear-based decisions, like, I mean, one of the things I regretted the most was not moving to Nashville when I was younger, because I was just so afraid of what it would be like to be there alone and be without my family. And I just stopped myself from doing it. So as soon as, it looked like I was going to live, I kind of said to my husband, like, we're buying a place in Nashville, just like it's happening. And he was just so great about it, right? Because, I think he can see that I just view things so much differently now. So we got a condo down there and I'm really looking forward to kind of getting in a routine of, spending a week or two in Nashville every month and writing and just being a part of a community that loves music as much as I do.
All right. Fantastic. All right. So, of course, we've talked about you getting back into music, the process of it and otherwise. What I want to know is through that exact specific process of getting back into the music, crafting and formulating these new tracks, how have they helped you to grow as a person, or what have they taught you about yourself?
I mean, I think one of the things that I've been doing a lot, in the band, I got really used to co-writing and we'd go on like Nashville trips and write songs together. And so I hadn't written really like many songs alone in a lot of years. So what I've been doing a lot is trying to write out how I'm feeling just like alone, like this is me. And I'm just finding I'm coming up with stuff that I think, you would never write in a co-writing session because it's so personal and so vulnerable, but it's also just so healing to like get it out and find a medium for it to be outside of yourself and even to share. I've been sharing like some of those songs online and the responses that I get from people saying like, oh, I can relate or, oh, I feel that way too. It's just so empowering because you just feel less alone. So I think it really showed me, yeah, you can write commercially, you can write for radio and you can do all of those things, but you can also write just for yourself again. And I hadn't been doing that for years. And it's been a real gift.
Well, I thank you for sharing these gifts, these lessons, as well as the tale behind this new single, Don't, with us here today. If the fans want to connect with you, Cadence, what's the best way to do so?
Oh, well, I'm on like every social media network, but you can find me at cadencegrace.com.
All right, perfect. And I'm sure you can find all the links there. I'll put some down below in the description to today's show as well. Cadence, thank you so very much for joining us here to share your story on the DTP.
Oh, thank you so much, Colton. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. It's been awesome.